December 10th, 1967 is a date that the American music industry and blues lovers worldwide will never forget, because it was on this day that Otis met a tragic end, leaving behind his wife, 4 children, and fans all over the world in tears. Join us as we uncover the tragic tale of Otis and see how this legendary blues musician came to his untimely demise. The beginning. Otis Ray Redding Jr. was born in Dawson, Georgia on September 9th, 1941, and went on to become one of the most important people in the history of soul music. Early in life, Otis Redding experienced hardship and tenacity as a child in the segregated South, but his passion for music gave him inspiration and comfort. Redding showed an early aptitude for singing, taking inspiration from the blues and gospel music as he developed his vocal abilities and participated in the church choir, which laid the groundwork for his success in the future. His big break came in the 1960s when record producer Johnny Jenkins saw him and asked if he could join the Pinetoppers as a vocalist. Redding's career did not take off until 1962 when he released These Arms of Mine, a soulful ballad that highlighted his strong vocals and expressive delivery.
Arms of mine.
Unexpectedly popular, the song came in at number 20 on the R&B charts and brought Redding to a larger audience and served as an inspiration for him to keep recording and touring non-stop as he continued to develop a devoted following through his riveting live performances. Redding's signing with the storied Stax Records in 1965 would propel him to prominence, and with the help of Stax's accomplished group of musicians and producers, Redding turned out a run of successes that cemented his place among the greatest soul performers of his day. Performances like Respect, I've Been Loving You Too Long, and Try a Little Tenderness demonstrated Redding's versatility and solidified his status as one of the greatest soul musicians of all time. The Accident.
In just 26 short years, Otis Redding died on this day in 1967.
The 26-year-old soul singer died as a result of a plane crash in Wisconsin on this day in 1967.
December 10th, 1967 will always be remembered as the day Otis Redding, the soulful voice behind numerous hits, lost his life in an aircraft accident. He left behind a wife, 4 kids, and a heartbroken fan base at the age of 26. The accident took place as Otis Redding and other members of the Bar-Case band set out on a voyage that would ultimately end tragically on that fateful day. Their plan was to take a quick flight from Cleveland, Ohio to Madison, Wisconsin, the site of their performance at the Factory nightclub. With great anticipation for the evening's performance, the group, which included Redding, the Bar-Case, and their pilot took off from Cleveland Hopkins International Airport. But what started out as a typical trip quickly became dangerous due to unfavorable weather conditions, laying the groundwork for an unfortunate series of events. The airplane was traveling towards Madison when it came into dense fog and low visibility, as the countryside was covered in thick fog, making it harder for the pilot to navigate and identify important landmarks, which would ultimately turn out to be catastrophic. The pilot struggled in the cockpit with the difficult conditions, trying to stay on track as the fog began to close in. But in spite of all he tried, the visibility kept becoming worse, sending the plane into a wide void of uncertainty. As the trip continued, the situation became more and more grave since the pilot had very little vision and had to rely on just the instruments to find his way through the fog, which led to the plane going off track and lose altitude a few seconds before it crashed. The pilot scrambled to restore control in the gloom and pandemonium of the cockpit, but it was too late, and with an overwhelming noise, the plane cut the tops of the trees and fell towards the frigid waters below. Cause of death. With a force that echoed for kilometers, the airplane plunged into the freezing depths of Lake Monona in a quick and brutal crash. Upon impact, the fuselage broke apart, throwing debris in all directions and enveloping the surroundings in a whirlwind of devastation. Otis Redding's 4 Bar-Case members and their pilot all perished in the blink of an eye, leaving a scene of tragedy and grief that would linger for years in the music industry. The abrupt and terrible death of one of soul music's biggest singers stunned colleagues and fans alike as the word of the crash shook the music business. Investigators put forth a great deal of effort in the days and weeks that followed to piece together what happened before the disaster. As the investigation continued, more and more insights were gained about the unfortunate trip and the factors that led to its fatal conclusion. It was questioned if more could have been done to avert the disaster and how the pilot made decisions in the face of unfavorable weather. Reports claimed that 4 miles before the destination, the pilot had asked for permission to land. However, the plane crashed shortly after, claiming the lives of Redding and other musicians that included guitarist Jimmy King, tenor saxophonist Phelan Jones, organist Ronnie Caldwell, and drummer Carl Cunningham. His body was discovered the following day when the lake was searched, and his family had initially postponed the funeral to December 18th, allowing more to pay their respects. Weather conditions, technical faults, communication with the control tower, all of these factors played a role in the crash, but the exact cause could never be identified. What are your thoughts on the plane crash? Let us know in the comment section below. After death. Otis Redding's reputation as a musical icon only grew in the years after his passing. His legendary album, The Dock of the Bay, which was published a few weeks after his death, was one of his posthumous releases that cemented his reputation and brought his music to new listeners. With its classic title track, which became Redding's first and only #1 hit on the Billboard Hot 100 chart, The Dock of the Bay is still regarded as one of his most well-known compositions. Redding's soul-stirring voice, together with the song's eerie tune and moving lyrics, won over listeners' hearts and solidified its place as a classic.
I keep singing them sad songs.
Apart from his artistic accomplishments, Redding's humanitarian endeavors and dedication to social equity have also profoundly impacted society. He lent his voice to the fight for racial justice and empowerment throughout his career by using his position to support equality and civil rights. Many generations of musicians have covered his songs, each adding to their own special touch to these timeless masterpieces. Redding's influence can be heard in a lot of modern music, from Jay-Z's song Rock Boys and The Winner Is, to Kanye West's breakthrough tune Gold Digger, which samples Hard to Handle. Many monuments and tributes have been built in the decades after Otis Redding passed away to honor his life and musical talents. The Otis Redding Memorial Bridge, which crosses the Ocmulgee River in Macon, Georgia, close to his hometown of Dawson, is one of the most famous. The bridge, which was dedicated in 1986, is a physical reminder of Redding's origins and long-lasting influence in the area. He is honored with a number of monuments and sites in addition to the bridge. Adjacent to the Otis Redding Foundation offices in Macon, the Otis Redding Memorial Garden is a serene haven where admirers may honor Redding and consider his life and legacy. The Otis Redding statue, unveiled in 2003 by the Macon-Bibb County Convention and Visitors Bureau, is another noteworthy memorial to Redding. The monument, which is housed in downtown Macon's Gateway Park, shows Redding in a dynamic position with a microphone in hand, perfectly encapsulating his soulful performances and exciting stage presence. Otis Redding's legacy is preserved not just by tangible monuments and memorials, but also by the efforts of groups like the Otis Redding Foundation. Selma Redding, the widow of Redding, founded the organization in 2007 with the goal of empowering young people via community involvement, mentorship, and music instruction. Modern facilities in downtown Macon, the Otis Redding Center for the Arts, are central to the foundation's work, carrying on Redding's legacy of empowering future generations via the arts. The center provides a variety of educational activities and services targeted at developing youth, creativity, and leadership and personal growth. The Otis Music Camp, a week-long summer program that unites young musicians from all backgrounds to study, work together, and perform under the direction of industry pros, is organized annually by the foundation. When you hear his name, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Please share it with us by leaving a comment below. Apart from physical memories and educational initiatives, Otis Redding's legacy is celebrated through a range of cultural tributes and homages that recognize his continuing influence on music and popular culture. One such homage is the yearly Otis Redding Celebration, which takes place in Macon, Georgia, and brings together fans for concerts, exhibits, and other special activities honoring Redding's life and music. Celebrating Redding's enduring influence on the neighborhood and beyond with a spectacular festival every September around his birthday. Artists of all stripes are still motivated by Redding's music, as seen by the innumerable cover samples and homages to his immortal hits. From Kanye West's smash song Gold Digger to Aretha Franklin's legendary performance of Respect, Otis Redding's impact can be heard in the work of musicians from a variety of eras and genres. Despite the tragically short life of Otis Redding, his songs and legacy live on as a tribute to his lasting brilliance and artistry. Redding's story, from his modest upbringing in the segregated South to his quick ascent to fame, is an inspiration to the strength of tenacity, drive, and the human spirit. Even though he is no longer with us, Otis Redding's voice still has an impact on listeners worldwide, bringing comfort, inspiration, and hope at both happy and sad occasions. If you like this video, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. Do let us know who you want us to cover next. Till then, take care.